But I can tell you, he was on me so fast that my second shot went in the air.
Okay.
It was that fast. It was on my property. I stood my ground. I feared for my life, period.
Okay.
And then as he approached me, I identified, I own all of this.
Yeah.
It's all my property.
Okay.
I identified myself as the owner of the property. I identified myself as being armed. He still approached and appeared as though he was going for something.
Okay.
This is what happens when you attempt to stand your ground and it goes incredibly wrong. On February 13th, 2023, Lloyd Preston Brewer opened fire on 21-year-old Garrett Daniel Hughes. What seemed like a fun night out on the town turned into a devastating night for the city of Key West, Florida. Garrett Hughes was once described as an athletic star, charismatic and loving. On the night of the Super Bowl, Garrett and his brother decided to go out for the night now that Garrett was 21 and watch the game at a local spot, Conchtown Liquor and Lounge. Unfortunately for Garrett and his family, this would be the last football game that Garrett would ever watch.
I guess the night that you were at Conchtown that night?
Correct.
Okay. So go ahead and let me know. Tell me what you got.
I was there for the Super Bowl.
Okay.
I was with my niece and her boyfriend.
Okay.
They left. I am now single, so I hung out for a little bit longer to see if maybe a potential suitor might show up.
Okay.
Nothing happened. I was ready to go home. I noticed there was a lot of activity going to and from the back door,
Okay.
as we have discussed in the past.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
So I went out back to just see what was going on. As you know, I am armed. Nature of my business, my property.
All right.
I went out back, and there was not one. This was not a drug dealer, I don't think. Just a guy, and he had buddies with him, and there were cars, but he was in between two cars. There were people on either side, and I guess they were all together. I don't know. They hadn't come from inside the bar. I don't know where they came from. And he's pissing in the parking lot.
Okay.
Lloyd Brewer owned the strip mall where Conchtown Liquor and Lounge conducted business. Alongside them was a dance studio and moped shop, all conveniently located just steps away from the oceanfront. It was prime real estate in one of the country's most favored vacation and spring break locations. The Brewer family was extremely wealthy and arguably the most cocky. During his police interview, Brewer begins to explain the events that transpired that night before. Being newly single, the 57-year-old decided to hang around the bar just a little bit longer in hopes of finding his next potential partner. Upon noticing strange activity happening out the back door of the bar, Brewer takes it upon himself to investigate. Little did he know that there was a surveillance camera recording the entire incident. Despite the stonewalled answers the detective gave him, Brewer was confident in his release, for the time being.
On the building. And I said, man, can't you just go I'll be honest, can't you just go in the fucking bar and piss in the toilet? And we exchanged words. And as it progressed, he became more agitated and approached me.
The event of Super Bowl Sunday was still fresh, and so the details of the shooting were still vivid in Brewer's memory. However, if you listen closely to the pauses and stops in dialogue, Brewer is choosing his words wisely. He doesn't want to incriminate himself by accidentally saying something he shouldn't. Brewer's body movement is lively and erratic. His eyes are wide open and his hands are kept in a defensive position, either upright or crossed. This isn't a sign of deceit, but rather a sign of discomfort and anxiety. It's normal to have these feelings while being interrogated, but the climate of this case may arouse other behaviors as well.
And I said, look, I own this. Stop. He continued to approach. I said, I'm armed. It appeared as though he was reaching for something. The first shot went off this way. The second shot went off up in the air. To the best of my recollection, he was already on top of me. It would happen that fast.
Okay.
There's no doubt I fired a weapon.
Okay.
Because they wouldn't let me wash my hands.
Yeah, we'll do that after. Okay.
It happened.
All right.
I immediately, once he was down, did not continue to assault him, set my firearm on the hood of a car,
Okay.
awaiting the arrival of the police.
Brewer continually looks away from the officer he's speaking to. He looks around the room, down at his hands, or closes them for an extended period of time. While this is often an indication of thought, many believe it to be a sign of lying. Lloyd Brewer proclaims that Garrett Hughes approached him in a menacing manner, which led Brewer to draw his firearm and fire 2 shots. While this may be the case from Brewer's perspective, that is not what the prosecutors, witnesses, or the security camera footage perceived.
Police say 21-year-old victim Garrett Hughes is seen here shirtless, leaving Conktown Liquor and Lounge just after 12:30 a.m. on February 13th, and was urinating on the side of the building when confronted by Brewer. You can see Brewer appears to reach for something in his waistband and raises his arms. There's an altercation before shots are fired. In the video, it's not clear when that happens.
The state of Florida has a stand your ground law in place. The purpose of this law allows citizens of the state to use deadly force in self-defense and abolishes the duty of retreat. In simple terms, if a law-abiding citizen faces an imminent threat where they are at risk of great injury or death, the stand your ground law allows the use of firearms to defend yourself and not retreat. This law is extremely controversial for many reasons. In the case of Lloyd Brewer, however, he states that his use of stand your ground was justified. In the security footage, despite the lower quality, it's seen that Brewer approaches Hughes in an aggressive manner, his gun seemingly already drawn, and Hughes was not seen continuing his advance towards Brewer. Hughes was shirtless at the time as well, showing his waist to Brewer and making it known that he himself was not armed. Prosecutors would not allow Brewer out on bond in fear that his combination of wealth and properties available to him would allow him to go on the run. Brewer pleaded not guilty, stating that his defense was justifiable. On June 8, 2023, an indictment against Lloyd Preston Brewer was issued. The real estate mogul was charged with first-degree murder, 2 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, and violation of a concealed firearm permit.